Welcome to Off the Post, presented by Coverall Exteriors. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Anthony Mingione. And how are you?
We're doing all right today, Russell. How are you?
Yeah, it's a nice day. Why not? And we have Michael Jello, who probably will say it's not a nice day. Mike, how are you?
Well, I'm doing better than the Yankees, who gave up 9 runs in the 7th inning last night, but okay.
Oh, that's a shame. And we have special guest Allison Lucan, who does a great job on the Seattle Kraken broadcast and also on the Too Many Men podcast. Allison, how are you?
I'm great now that I'm here talking with you all. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate it. So I caught up with Berkeley Catton at the rookie showcase, and probably looks about 7 pounds muscle heavier. Definitely a smart kid. Like, he's come off 100-point season, so you kind of have to throw that away now. But what I wonder is, has Seattle learned about what his next steps will be from the Shane Wright situation? Or do you think it might mirror that?
It's a great question, right? 2 players who are just hitting things 1 year too early. It would be great if that new CBA was figured out and in place this year. But, I think it's going to be very interesting to watch what Berkeley does or doesn't do. And it's a cliche, right? But the answer is going to lie with him. Mm-hmm. And also, where can he force his way, in my opinion, higher up in the lineup? This isn't a player that I think they want to live in the bottom 6. You talk about maybe a lesson from Shane. You see that there with the minutes that he wasn't getting that first year. So what is Berkeley going to tell us he can do, particularly? And I have great faith in this kid. It's actually a jersey I'm eyeballing, adding to my collection, but what can he do to make the most with his size, right? Is he going to really come in and be able to pop right away, or is it going to take him some time to figure out how to leverage his mindset and his skill set to make the most of being on the ice?
Yeah, he's a charismatic kid, so I popped in a 6-minute interview that I did with him on my Instagram. People could check that out.
Please do.
Allison, we are at the threshold of yet another new era for the Seattle Kraken. Lane Lambert is the new head coach of the Kraken. So what are some of the expectations that you have? I know with the Islanders, they attempted to play, a much more offensive-minded system under him. Didn't quite work out, and kind of felt like he got the short end of the stick there towards the end of the Lamoriello era. Now he's got a new opportunity here in Seattle. Tell me what your thoughts are about him.
Yeah, I knew kind of Lane Lambert, right? It wasn't a coach that, particularly under a Lou Lamoriello leadership, that you maybe see a lot from when they're in the top chair. But I had some opportunity to talk to him right after he got hired here one-on-one. And that article is going to go up, I think, Monday next week, about what he expects from this team and what a Lane Lambert team plays like. And to be very honest with you, he won me over. I really like his approach. I think one of the big ingredients he's going to bring to this group is a return to some discipline. That was something that was missing last season, was a little bit more discipline and a little bit more detail-focused work from this group. So I think he's going to bring that, a return to the defensive mindset that makes this team so strong. And then, again, when he was in Toronto, he got that job not knowing anyone on the coaching staff. It was by word of mouth, recommendations, and body of work. And we saw what he could do with some talent there, obviously high end talent there. But I'm excited to see, particularly on the special team side, can he get a little bit more there? Because that's something that the Kraken definitely need to improve.
And Allison, hopefully he works out better than the other former Leafs assistant coach that was hired by the Kraken. I look at the Kraken's roster and I look at their cap situation, and I notice a lot of players have the letters UFA after this season. 4 prominent forwards and 1 prominent defenseman in Jamie Alexiak. I look at the Kraken and there's a possibility they could challenge for a playoff spot. They have a lot of talent, but I also look at the fact that Jason Botterill is going to have his phone ringing off the hook in January if they're not in that position.
You sure hope so, right? If that's the unfortunate place they find them. And, what's interesting about that, too, is you look at some of those players, particularly even a Jaden Schwartz and a Jordan Eberle, while the team has not been where it's wanted to be these past couple seasons, Jaden Schwartz literally put this team on his back. And again, the results were not there, but if you saw what he was doing and how he stepped up and showing he could still play at a very high level, that makes him really, really valuable. And Jordan Eberle, obviously the captain, it just gutted me so bad last year because I talked to him before camp and he came in literally in the best shape of his life, the best test scores physically of his career, and then gets that incredible unprecedented injury that keeps him out for months. So these are players who show that they can be a contributor. And you hope that the Kraken, I'm with you. I think this division's a weird one this year, and that's going to be a big part of this, right? But you hope that those aren't conversations they're going to have, but I would imagine Botz's phone will be busy for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's talk about Chandler Stevenson. Like, we all like him on the surface, but he's 31. He's got a lot of years left on that deal. I saw 51 points. I know he brings more to the team. What has he brought to the team, and what do you think his role is this year?
Yeah, it's a great question. One of the things he did bring last year, and I think he will continue to bring, is he is kind of a backup, a cushion for players like Matty Beniers and Shane Wright as they grow into top six centerman roles. Chandler Stevenson was playing in all situations. He's a guy, I always compare him to Jeff Carter. He is so good at skating, it looks like he's not trying, right? And you have to adjust your perception to understand that. And as the season was going on, I was looking into his game, and you mentioned other areas. Chandler Stevenson ranked number 1 overall among all NHL forwards in terms of completed passes.
Wow.
So this is a guy who knows how to get the puck where it needs to be and do that successfully. And I think him playing at 100% effort and that execution, that intelligence helps a lot. I also think, on the other side of the ice, he was a good voice in the room. I think that his experience, I think his energy, he's got, to me, the right mix of intensity and commitment to the game, but also respecting that you have to have some fun too. And I thought that when you look at a group that's continuing to try and really cement an identity and a personality, I think he can be part of that as well.
Allison, it's rather interesting. I'm looking at the Seattle Kraken's goalie situation. Obviously, Joey DeFord had he's had 2 good campaigns, but certainly I'd say with more sort of exposure, he kind of, some of the numbers started to slide a little bit for him. And I want to kind of get your take on, now he's, again, another coach that he's going to be working under, in this case, with some different systems. Do you think Joey's going to be able to get back to the numbers that he had in 23-24, and also add to the mix, a goaltender Mike knows very well. I believe Matt Murray is now with the Seattle Kraken as well. So,
oh yeah, you listen.
Favorite.
Listen, from my Columbus days, I have nightmares about Matt Murray that he inflicted on that team for years. So yeah. But it's going to be interesting. Let's tackle it one player at a time. Mm-hmm. And first with Joey, with all due respect, I certainly am not a coach of hockey at any level. But I didn't always love the deployment last year. I think that, obviously Dan knew Joey, has great faith in Joey, as he should. But I think as Dan and the coaching staff were really trying to stay in things, they may have gone to Joey more than maybe traditionally they should have. But they were trying to play the short game to get back into things. And I understand that and I get it. So I think maybe with some different deployment, you're going to save a little bit more energy there and see a little bit better split in who's getting games. And I think that will allow Joey to be at his best and continue to show that this is it killed me last year. People couldn't even spell his name when he signed a contract extension at the beginning of the season. And by, mid-season, everyone wants him on their team for the Worlds and everything like this, because he has 3 citizenships. But I think he's going to be definitely someone to pay attention to for sure. And with just a little bit more rest can be good. And then Matt Murray, healthy, finally, again, a player that Jason Botterill knows. And what kind of noise is he going to make? What kind of statement is he going to make? And how are the Kraken going to look at 3 goalies and decide what they want to do there? We'll see.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It was a great rehab season for him, playing in the AHL and playing a couple games. And I was actually at one of the games that he played for the Leafs in Buffalo. Allison, let me ask you about the Western Conference in total, because I look at it, and obviously I think the three teams that finished top three in the Central are going to do that again. And I would probably say Vegas is safe, at least for one of the top three spots. I'm always skeptical about Edmonton because I think they're weakened this year. Their goaltending is horrendous. But they have McDavid and Draisaitl, and that covers up a number of ills. You've got 3 or 4 teams, and I include Seattle in that group, that could challenge for the third spot in the Pacific or the 2 wildcard spots. I think Utah, I think Anaheim. Anaheim is the pick that everybody is saying, oh my God, with the Quenneville. Ruling Seattle out of the mix, what is the team that you're most excited about in terms of stealing one of those spots?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's for me, let's see. I mean, Anaheim is the traditional pick there for sure, with the talent, with the changes and the new coaches and kind of what we're hearing from them, which is the decision to go all in finally. But again, we were all behind Nashville last year, and look what that got us, right? So who's to say? I'm more intrigued to see, as I mentioned, this Pacific, this mushy middle, right? Because LA is confusing to me right now. Vancouver is a wild card to me right now. I even look, if you include, all of the West, I love Dallas. I'm always high on Dallas, but I don't know that they're as strong in all 3 parts of the ice as they historically have been. Yeah. So again, I'm with you. I think that the mushy middle, if you will, is what's going to be really intriguing to me. And I think there's a lot of teams with question marks, particularly with the lack of movement we saw here after kind of the open of free agency and who's going to become what, because I think there's more teams than usual trying to figure that out.
Allison, question. I mean, there's been some interesting, certainly, acquisitions that happened this offseason, but probably the player that I'm most fascinated to see is how Mason Marchment is going to, fit in on the Seattle Kraken team. Speaking of a former Dallas Star in this case. So how do you see him being deployed and being used potentially this year?
Yeah, this is, if you, not exactly the same, but a little bit of the Marchand flavor of player, right? You love him on your team. You hate him if he's not on your team. Mm-hmm. But I've always been a big fan of his game. And, again, the Kraken have not gotten where they want to, but another shrewd trade by the front office, a la Oliver Bjorkstrand a couple of years ago, that they didn't have to pay a lot for, a really valuable player. And I think this is someone, again, if you look at what the Kraken are trying to do, they're trying to tell their fans and the NHL that they are really going in and that they are serious about doing whatever it takes to win. And Marchment is one of those type moves. I think they like his sandpaper, his grit. I think that the Kraken need a little bit more of that to cement what they want to be on the ice. And I think they really like his willingness and commitment to go net front offensively. That is the kind of player, even when you look at Shane Wright going, that's what he's doing too, is driving a little bit closer into the dirty areas. I think they're going to look at him on the power play as well. I'd love to see him regularly in the top 6. We'll see what the coaching staff does there. And as we just talked about, this is another player that if this organization isn't where they want to be in the standings come March, this is a guy that I would have to imagine there's going to be a lot of teams interested in to try and help bolster their playoff push as well. I'm really excited to have him on the group.
Yeah, but Dennis Malgin would be a better player.
Allison, so are you basically saying that Seattle is trying to be harder to play against this year than last year? Is that really the big message?
Yeah, I think the big message, and we heard this going back to right after the end of the season when Ron Francis went up to POHOP, to president of hockey operations, and Jason Botterill was named general manager, is that this is about becoming, as Botterill has said, a perennial playoff contender. They acknowledge they have not been. They acknowledge that they are not a team that's just one player away right now, but they are a group that's willing to do the hard things, like fire a coach after 1 year if they think it's not the right path forward. And when it comes to what that means on the ice, it means structure, it means discipline, it means hard to play against, and it means creating chaos net front on both ends of the ice, defensively keeping other teams out of it, and offensively getting there to create dangerous chances.
Great. Allison, listen, thanks so much for coming on. We'll be looking for that article that's coming out soon.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for having me as always.
Thank you, Allison. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Allison.
All right. So lots going on with Kirill Kaprizov. Maybe he asked for a lot of money.
Did he not? Did we have? Did we not?
I'm not going to blame Frank on this one. What always happens on this one is the information gets out, and then the other side always says, that's not true, because it's probably off $1. You know what I mean? Like, I believe that something like that happened, and I believe that, like, that's probably the most that Minnesota is willing to pay. Like in that,
I'm going to go out on a limb, Russ, and say I think Minnesota is going to have at least one more pitch here that's going to be higher than that. I just my feeling on this. It gets it out there. You don't like to necessarily negotiate. So the question is, it would make him the highest paid player, but potentially, if your agent's projecting things with cap and everything else, it may be that may be true now, but how quickly might that number get pipped in the future? In the near future.
But I think that's sports. Like he shouldn't be the highest paid player in the league 3 years from now. If he is, they way overpaid.
I don't believe necessarily that that Kaprizov is out of Minnesota. I still think there's maybe a little bit. There's still potentially a bit more to give. It doesn't signal positively if that's true, but I'm willing to say that we're still at the opening of camp, right? There's always chances. Now, again, if they put a moratorium and say we're not going to negotiate during the season,
right?
Then I start to go, okay, now the Adam's apple gets a little tighter.
I felt like you did. Sorry, Mike. And now I feel like more like it's a Marian Gaborik situation.
It's possible. It very well could be.
It's a Russian Mitch Marner situation because he's got a no move clause. And this year is going to be, if this is they want to negotiate, they want to sign him. And say the report is true that he's like, I turned down $16 million. Well, I don't know how much more Craig Leopold is going to go on top of $16 million. First of all, it's like, you can say this doesn't matter. He's not a center. He's a winger. He's a great winger. He's probably one of the best or second best wingers in the league, but he's a winger.
But
you don't pay now. Okay,
when you are Mike, at the end of the day, if we're talking about Minnesota being a possible Stanley Cup contender, I know he's a winger, but the fact of the matter is, it's not Ovechkin tier,
right?
But he is that for them. That makes them. He is, the old classics, the old Reggie Jackson, the straw that stirs the drink.
Right.
Them offensively, and for them to have an opportunity as a team. And this is not to discount the rest of their roster, but to me, Minnesota is very much a playoff team, middle of the pack, out of the first round, that kind of thing. Kaprizov, to me, is that one little extra bit of special sauce that can get them further along, that can get them further to where they go to. Even though he's, again, a winger in this case, his level of importance, I think, to them is equivalent to a 1C.
Although, what's funny about the special sauce? It really is just Russian dressing with there
you go. You just answered my question.
With relish.
Thousand Island, baby.
Thousand Island dressing. That's
with a little extra relish, yeah.
Yeah, and we all know in his wrist shots he puts a little extra relish on it. So there you go.
That's gross. But not
I relish the opportunity to talk about.
That's what the goalie said.
I relish the opportunity to talk about a future deal for him. I do. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm a little worried now, though, for people.
I have some concern. I just feel like the window isn't slammed shut. I'm not there with it. I'm just not.
I mean, that's fair.
We agree to disagree.
For all the Sam Bennett haters, he brought the Stanley Cup to an animal shelter. Like, come on, that makes him a good guy now. Come on.
I have no issues with Sam Bennett. I mean, I think most teams would want to have him on their roster at this point. If you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, you want to get what's again borrowing from Paul Maurice's, talk about, and these guys get on the, these guys are nice guys, but then they get on the ice, the psycho switch goes on basically.
Yeah. Mike, your thoughts?
Well, I'm not saying that I didn't think that Sam Bennett was not a good guy. I mean, we're talking about his persona on the ice and his persona off the ice. On the ice, he's an assassin. And I'm sure the Florida Panthers are very happy that he's an assassin. He is a guy who every team, it's, what was the thing that people used to say about, and obviously Darcy Tucker didn't win Stanley Cups, but what did they say about players like Darcy Tucker? 31 teams hate him. Who's the only team that likes him? The team that has him. And Brad Marchand is the same way. Everybody wants a Sam Bennett. And of course, doubling that is he's a center and he's a physical center and he's a tough matchup for any team. Yeah. So Florida got him. They took advantage of, wait for it, the no state tax thing, which did not get everything else.
It's a day that ended in Y, so Mike's going to mention it.
Everything else got resolved with this new goddamn CBA, but not the state tax thing, because that was the thing that factors in the most. But no, of course not.
It factors in the most? It's not the most. Come on.
Russ, with a competitive team, if you have two equally competitive teams, the team that has less state tax is the team that usually the player goes to.
I mean,
Florida, Dallas.
I want you to back that up with actual statistics, because I'm telling you, a lot of the times it is the lore of the team, which means that city, who the players are on the team, winning,
and it's a good, and it's
winning.
Yeah,
I think
it's part of. I'm not discounting what Mike said. They do have a competitive advantage.
There are two teams right now in states that have low taxes, or actually three. But one is up and coming. Utah is up and coming. They could challenge for a playoff spot. Seattle less so, but Nashville is a no tax city and a no tax state, and that is right now a tire fire because of what Barry Trotz has done over the last year.
So therefore what it means in that circumstance is that you got to pick the right guys.
Yeah,
to bring in. Nashville in this case,
do a lot of things right.
Who are on the right side of 30 years old and not the other side.
You got to have the right signings. You got to have the right players in your system. Yeah, there's still a lot of things. I'm not willing to just put it all on that, but we all know it's a part of it. Michael Misa signed, so there's that great.
We knew that was coming at some point here.
That great national nightmare was over. It took almost as long as Austin Matthews, probably just as long, and yeah, I think they were just haggling over probably those bonuses and. Now he's in rookie camp, so he made rookie camp, and everybody's happy now.
Right, exactly. Everybody's happy. Carey Price reported to San Jose. And everybody's like, well, why is he in San Jose? He's got to
physical.
He's got to not pass his. He's got to show up and fail. That's what he's got to do.
Yeah.
That's like Nathan Horton. He had to show up for 3 years at Leafs camp just to fail the.
Well, my whole thing is when these things happen and the player does show up. So the team now, the new team that's acquired the contract. After he's failed the physical and did the team a favor, does the team take him out for like dinner or something afterwards?
That's a good question.
It's like, thank you for helping us with our cap situation. Let's take you out to dinner.
He can pay for it with that $8 million signing bonus he got from Montreal.
I mean, if I were the team, I would get like a Price Sharks jersey and take a picture of it with him at the rink. I think it'd be funny.
The problem is that at that point, the league be like, oh, he can lift that up, can he? He must have read
the funniest one, and I was ringside for this, was Joffrey Lupul, who was at Leaf training camp. This had to be 2016, 2017. Can't remember what year it was. But Joffrey Lupul comes to camp. He does the medical. Nazem Kadri is interviewed by one of the Toronto reporters, and he said, "Did you see Joffrey? Oh, he's great. He's ready to go, blah, 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 blah." Then Luke comes out and says, Joffrey failed his physical. He is not going to play with us all year. He had a season-ending injury. It's like, oh, really? And it's like,
Didn't Joffrey put out some tweets too that were kind of
Instagram. Oh yeah, no, he
Instagram.
Was,
that's what it was.
Yeah, and then basically they got pulled down because I think Lou sent somebody Vinny Boombots to
yeah.
You say I'm gonna let Mike say this because I was thinking it, but he said it.
Yeah, he called a fixer. He called a fixer for that.
That's all.
He called in Richie Aprile.
No, but Richie Aprile is not Instagram savvy. That's the only thing.
No, he's not. Not with that members only jacket.
So
don't worry, he's fine. He's on a hill. He's under a pine tree with pine cones.
But as far as Misa goes, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
What the Sharks do with him this year. I don't know. I'm torn. I don't know if I would want him in the NHL this year, but you can let him play through preseason.
Plus, you never want anybody to be playing in the NHL in their draft here.
Because 99% of the time it's the right decision not to. So my thinking is let him play through preseason. And then, if you want to give him a couple games, that's fine too. But there's a reason I say that, Anthony.
Okay, that's fine. And again, I also lean on the side of being conservative when it comes to initial prospects. I know it's going to be tough with a player who's going to be second overall in the draft. And again, your fan base, there's always the pressure of the fan base. And I get that from San Jose's, from the Sharks' perspective. That said, I feel like there's enough guys potentially that you could make that move, but we know he's going to play. We know he's going to be on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, just give him a taste, give him 3 or 4 games, see what, and then
he's going to get more than that. If he shows anything, Mike, he'll be up all year.
Oh no, I mean, well, yeah, if he shows anything, he'll get the full 9. But I'm just saying, more than likely, I'm saying, he's going to get sent back to the OHL if they, I think even if he has an okay camp, they'll give him a game or 2 just to. Yeah, here this is what you need to move up to be able to be a contributor next year.
You have to wow. And we saw this last year with Jet Luchenko and the Flyers. Yeah. Everybody was amazed by his speed. It's just the problem, as I always said with Luchenko, was it was a comparison thing. He looked like he playing at warp speed because the rest of the lineup, especially down the middle, is basically operating with boat oars.
That's fair. No, that's fair. And I mean, that's a big thing. The Flyers had like a press conference. Part of it was player related. Part of it was business. On the business side, the one interesting thing was it seems like 2030 may be the start date now for the new rink to be built. It seems like things are getting pushed back just a little bit because of
2031 was always the idea that the arena was going to be opening by that point. But now
I know, but he was
2030 to break ground. You mean?
Yeah, I think it may be. I think things. After watching it, I feel like things are pushed back just a little bit because of the new sponsorship and the building, and because they feel like, hey, we still have this building.
That's if the Sixers, but again, now that they're equal partners with the Sixers, again, you're going to hear from Harris in this case, and I feel like that things are going to now. It could, they may. You also, depending on the location of where they're looking to build, there's stuff that has to get taken down, and then because now it's further, it's going to be. Because currently you have the arena closer to obviously to Broad Street. This would be probably a little bit further. This is going to end up being
Dan Hilferty said they're not sure what they're going to do with the current building when the other one is built.
Well, it said 2 arenas. I heard it. I mean, I got a chance to watch. Yeah. I would say probably 2/3 of the press conference today. But I saw that part where he says, not having 2 arenas doesn't exactly make I'm not misquoting in this case. How much sense does it make to have 2 arenas in this case? Especially, it's not like the Spectrum, which was, again, fairly compact.
Yeah.
Wells Fargo Center is a big barn. And pretty sprawling. And, it's going to be, I feel like, that's a lot of space to be occupied there if you're going to have 2 arenas side by side. My gut feeling is that, they'll start breaking ground the minute they have the arena. And then I think, it goes fairly quickly now where,
it's like 18 months or something when it does go.
Yeah. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we're going to see about that. And, the rest of the press conference kind of went, in certain things. The one area that's interesting was if things don't move at night, it's interesting. They're kind of having their cake and eating it too with this, which is if we don't make the postseason, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But for comparison's sake, they can't look as uncompetitive as they did at the end of the season.
No, that's true.
Obviously the strip down, but there are expectations that they make progress. That if they're not a playoff team, that they are. There's however they view progress is what they're. That's what they need to see. And
the only thing then after that. I get that. The only thing was with the Charlie O'Connor question about the having all these wingers that are big time wingers and really not having the centers that they need yet. I didn't love Keith Jones' answer, and a lot of people didn't. It wasn't a great answer.
I didn't get a chance to hear that part. So if you could clarify,
basically he was just like, "Hey, love Porter Martone. We love the wingers." And I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But like Nikita Kucherov's a great player, right? I take that player all day long.
Right.
So he was basically saying, hey, when you got like a great winger, like Michkov or something, it's all, he didn't say it's not okay to have a center, but then he was just like, I'll take
He's
that.
emphasizing that read to me is that he's emphasizing the strength of the team right now while understanding at the same time they know their center situation is right now at best serviceable, but not a playoff necessary. We don't know necessarily if it's a playoff competitive one because again, there's as we talked about before, this lineup to me is a puzzle box. Right. I just don't know if I can't turn around and tell you Trevor Zegras is going to be a 2C. I just don't know that.
Yeah, we don't know that.
He has to take it.
Yeah, and I just question an organization that decides I'm going to trade a guy who is a good playmaker in Morgan Frost in that deal with Calgary, and then immediately they're talking about how they're weak up the middle. Well, then if you're weak up the middle, you shouldn't have traded Morgan Frost.
I think
he wasn't a number one center, but he was a good playmaker.
That's what they're honestly, Mike, looking for in this case. Not, I shouldn't say number one center, but at least their estimation for where they're at as a team.
Right.
I think Morgan probably needed a change as much as anybody, I think, in this case, and an opportunity to go elsewhere and be able to feature in that role in Calgary. I just feel like, and I guess they felt like he wasn't enough of a needle mover for them to not try something else. And it may click for him elsewhere, but that's kind of my read on it in this circumstance. If they are a team that's trying to, and again, if they're pushing for a postseason berth, I feel like they would have said so in the press conference today. They would like to be, I think, in this case, but they were also setting things up. They're also setting things up that it's okay if we don't.
Right, as long as young players progress, like that was the caveat.
Right, and again, it's a lottery thing on Zegras. They're hoping that he can be a 2C. If not, you acquired a potentially top 6 talent that could fit in other ways. But you're hoping in this case that Zegras under Tocchet can continue to develop an all-around game while still be able to maintain his offensive capabilities. In that case, they'll look at it and say they'll take more of a chance on that with Zegras than they would with Morgan Frost.
Yeah, and then the other part was with the goaltending. Like, I get putting a stamp on Sam saying, "Hey, he's our guy." That's fine, but the overall
he kind of said a quick for them to say, for Jonesy to say the pecking order is like it was supposed, like you go from Danny saying none of this was good enough last season, guys. None of this was good enough. It's kind of open. And then the president of the team basically says, and I get it from the mindset standpoint, the relatively calm nature of a Sam Ersson, those things can sell you on his ability to potentially be a number one. But the evidence is, hold on, the evidence is not, but then you look at the body of work and you're just not convinced. Yeah, so I still feel like this is going to be something that Tocchet ultimately is going to be able to make that call on in this case. Otherwise, if they were convinced that Sam Ersson is the guy, you go out and get a Vladar and look at him potentially as a possible number one. It's just, again, much like the rest of the lineup, the goaltending situation, we're throwing up things up in the air. Hopefully, something lands, and we can start moving forward. But they're trying to have that plus the prospects. Bjarnason's going to be starting in Lehigh. Still waiting on Javregan. It's like, so.
Although that whole rookie game, the fact that Bjarnason is the only goalie is just shows that they needed to bring in more goalies into their system, because you can't just say, well, Javregan's not here, whatever. No, they needed more goalies in their system. They don't have that.
But again, at the end of the day, you have a traffic jam when you still have Kaprizov and you have Kolosov.
But not with prospect goalies. That's the whole thing. This traffic jam that's there, they're all on expiring contracts, and except Vladar. And then the other thing was, the way I was taught for goaltending is, like, when a guy's 25, like, that's the year that he should be showing you he is ready. Yeah. And Sam's had 2 years of substandard save percentage.
So now we'll see how much he's learned.
This is it.
How his game jives with the way Tocchet wants to play things. It is very much has to be also a partnership, so to speak, between the defense, between the guys in front of him and his performance, both in this case. I've seen stuff from Urson that makes me think he's better. That he can be better than your average NHL backup. It's just I'm not 100%. I'm not convinced of him as a full-time NHL starter.
Well, an interesting thing, and I was at the first practice for the Sabres Prospect Challenge, which is 5 teams over the next 4 to 5 days. They practiced, and the goalie most of the Rochester American team was there, most of them. The one who wasn't there was Devin Levi, who now, but this is the thing that's weird, Russ, is that, okay, you're treating Devin Levi. I mean, Hellenius was there. Roseanne was there. Oslin was there. The first-round picks. Mertka was there. Levi, they're basically, sounds like they're reserving him for the main camp. Okay, well, he played less than 10 games last year in the NHL, and he was your number 1 goalie in Rochester. You have 4 prospect goalies, and that's probably the justification for it. You had Leonin, you had Ratzloff, you had a couple of the draft picks. Yeah. They want to get those guys to work, and Levi doesn't need the work in a prospects challenge. But you don't know what the future is right here, because they signed Alex Lyon, and Levi has got waiver exemption, so I don't think they're carrying 3 goalies. It just sounds to me like Levi's going to be in Rochester, and I just wonder when this situation is going to get resolved.
Here's my rule of thumb, and I think teams have changed on this, and I disagree with it. Same with the Flyers and Kolosov. Kolosov's played like 17 games. If he had an amazing season, was the number 1 goalie, he could win the Calder. If you have a chance to win the Calder, then you should be in the rookie tournament. Or rookie camp. And I feel like that's the same with Levi. Like, he should be there, but the team's kind of like, Devin, you don't have to be here. It's okay. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that because these guys have not proven it. And I feel like they should be there for that. And guess what? Even if he doesn't play a ton, then he could be there helping the other guys in your organization being that older guy. Like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we'll see.
So it's an interesting thing with the goalies. And one other thing, and John Kincaid brought this to my attention on Twitter. So Reese's Oreo, has had that marriage now, and they have it with cookies and they have it with the cups.
Yes.
Now, I don't care so much with the cookie. Do whatever you want. Oreos has, decided to go batshit crazy with that for the last.
You're just being an old.
But no, he's pissed off at the pumpkin spice Oreos.
No, just a lot of them, but. But whatever, it's fine. And if I was next to you, I'd knock that out of your hand.
I'd punch you in the nuts.
I'm just telling you the truth. But the thing is, so I don't mind it on the cookie because I'm just past it. It doesn't matter. But the cups, right? The Reese's peanut butter cups, and they've made some changes to them, and I'm okay with some of the changes. But now this one, Kincaid brought this up, and it was like, he goes, the price was exorbitant, so he put them back because he wanted to do it.
I saw it when I went over. Interestingly enough, when I went to Wawa to go get a cup of coffee today, they had them, and like a 4-pack of. I just happened to see. I was just looking at them. There was like a 4-pack of the cups, of the cups. They were like, I'm wrong. They were over like they were. I got check.
It's like $6 or more.
It was like $4. It was like $4. I think it was.
I think it's $5.99 at Target.
It was like $4.29. I'm like $1 a cup.
Yeah, no, it's pricier.
Like, I'm not buying it anyway because I'm trying to watch. But it's like, right. No, I was curious. I was like, what? 4 cups?
I know you're going over the line here. Like, and that's what problem is when you get 2 corporations.
But it's limited edition. That's why we're not doing this for long. So get it while it's hot and while we have it overpriced for you.
Mike, your thoughts?
I wouldn't pay. No, we're talking about Reese's cups.
Yes. Reese's cups with Oreo.
$4.
More than that. I saw it for $5.99.
I may be wrong. I'll have to check. It was like, I'm pretty sure it was like $4.29 or something like that.
Absolutely
4 cups. So basically over $1 a cup. So over $1 a cup.
Yeah, I mean that in some places too.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I know we got inflation and everything else, but that's ridiculous.
I just think because like like everybody else, I like a Reese's cup more and just as much as the next person. But it's like you get the one that's the big cup, like rather than just the regular size Reese's.
No, I get the regular. I don't even get the big one.
Right, but the big one is like $2.20 for one.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did all of a sudden did
It's $2.20, I think, for a 2-pack. It's
no, I've seen single ones that were like maybe $2.
That sounds like New York surcharge.
Well, I see the $5.89 is for 9 ounces of the miniature cups for Reese's.
Gotcha.
So, but it's only 9 ounces. So Anthony's probably right. It probably is like $4.29 for the 2 cups.
Yeah, it just struck me. I was like, not that I was interested in buying it, but I was just curious. I was looking at it, and I just happened to see the price on it.
This is inflation on peanut butter cups that shouldn't be.
Well, I have a food. I know we're gonna end the show. I have a food take or food shaming thing. Sonic, which I normally don't go to for anything, but most of the places were closed at 9:30 at night, and
they're open late. Yeah,
they're open late, and someone in my family wanted something ice cream wise.
Right.
So, and of course, this is my mom, who's 93 years old. She wanted like basically the Sonic version of the Blizzard.
Okay.
With Butterfinger. With butter.
Oh, Butterfingers? Really? She's going there? They get stuck in your teeth.
Well,
you just walked into that one, Russell.
If she had teeth. But okay. But
why
no.
did you walk in? You willingly walked into that minefield. You willingly walked into that minefield.
Juan Soto. No, but the problem is they had like seven different things: M&Ms, Oreos, Heath Bar, blah blah. And you go through the list. They used to have Butterfinger. They got rid of Butterfinger. So I got Heath Bar.
You got Heath Bar.
And she had 2 spoonfuls of it and said, "This is not Butterfinger." And basically said, "I don't want anymore." Like, okay.
Michael, what you would have done, you would have gotten the soft serve from Sonic. Then you would have gone to whatever local convenience store, found a Butterfinger, got a mallet, smashed it up, and put it in.
A hammer.
You're not a good son.
You're not. I mean, Mike, this is the difference of toffee.
That's terrible. I'm pulling that one back, but it was pretty damn funny.
I mean, this is the difference of toffee and peanut butter. That's a big difference. I don't like Heath Bar either.
Actually, I'm okay on Heath Bar.
Yeah, you are? Okay.
Small ones. Whenever they have the little pop portable ones, that's just right.
Sonic has good
Halloween time. We're not there yet, but
their drinks are good. Those slushies that they have are good. They've got some very imaginative ones that are pretty tasty. So I'll give Sonic that. They have that going. All right. That's it. That's it for Off the Post. We'll catch everybody next time.
No Sonic sponsorship for us.
I said something positive.
Have a good one, everybody.